schedule release and signing celebration. I am Alan Wiederhold. I'm the Assistant Sports Information Director, and for those of you who haven't met me before or wondering why I was allowed to MC such a prestigious event, I'd like to announce that Ryan McGinty, our lead SID, became a father yesterday about 9:30 a.m. I'm just trying to hold down the fort here. First off, I'd like to introduce our Director of Compliance and also Game Day Operations, Ms. Monique Carroll. She's one of the big reasons why we were able to put this event on together and all be here together, and she's going to talk about the 2015 Prairie View A&M Panthers football schedule. Ms. Carroll.
Good evening. As Alan said, my name is Monique Carroll, Director of Athletic Compliance and Associate Athletic Director for External Operations, standing in for Mr. Robinson, who unfortunately couldn't be here today. I'd just like to welcome you all to our third annual Signing Day celebration. And I won't steal the thunder from Coach Simmons. I'll let him talk about his recruits. But if you see the papers in front of you, we definitely have upgraded the PV football program instantly with these student athletes that we have just signed. I always have to express my thanks and gratitude to the compliance staff, academic staff, financial aid, our administrative assistants, and all the other administrators who helped to make signing day possible, putting in long hours over the last couple of weeks to make sure we did have student athletes to sign with us today. Now for the part that you've all been waiting for, our 2015 football schedule. We'll open the season at Texas Southern University on September 5th. At the Labor Day Classic, followed by a trip 130 miles west to place Texas State University on the 12th. All our home games this year will be played at the Waller Stadium, with our first home game being Alabama A&M on the 19th. We will travel to Dallas to play Grambling in the State Fair Classic, and this will be the Southwest State Fair Classic, followed by 2 home games against University of Faith and Homecoming on October 15 versus Mississippi Valley State University. 10th. October 10th. Next, we do have a Halloween game scheduled with Arkansas Pine Bluff, as well as the Panthers will go pack their bags in November and travel to Alcorn State University and Alabama State University. Our final contest will feature a home game in Waller Stadium against Jackson State University, a team that has not visited the Houston area since 2007. Our schedule features 11 games and an opportunity for fans to see the Panthers compete while traveling less than 4 hours on several occasions. The 2015 football season is guaranteed to be one of the most exciting in PV history. Change is happening on the Hill, and you are encouraged to be a part of it. I want you to tell all your friends, fellow alumni, and everyone you know about this groundbreaking 2015 football season. Season tickets will be on sale soon, so make sure you visit our website at pvpanthers.com for the most updated information. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2015 Panther football schedule.
Having worked this being my first year at Prairie View A&M, and having seen what the Alcorn State offense did here in November, and then also having the opportunity to work the Southwestern Athletic Conference Championship game in Houston, I myself, and lots of other people thought that the university and the athletics program went in the right direction when they introduced Coach Willie Simmons as our next head football coach. Like so many other people, I could go on about his accolades, but I think we want to give him the microphone and let him talk about this very good group of men who are coming in to play in 2015, the first 10 or 12 that we've signed. And so without further ado, I will now turn this over to the next Prairie View A&M head football coach, Mr. Willie Simmons.
Thank you, Ryan. Good evening. Good evening. Yeah, I'm sorry. I already had that program. Thank you, Alan. Also thank Ms. Carroll for going over our schedule. Of course, I know everyone was excited about that, about releasing the schedule, seeing what we'll be playing this year, and so I want to try to get that out as soon as possible so everyone can go ahead and purchase the season tickets. Encourage everyone else to do it. We want to definitely make sure, even though we're not playing here on the hill per se, we still want to make Walla our home field. And we want to make sure that whenever teams come to that stadium, that they see a sea of purple and gold and know that that is our home stadium for this season until our miraculous stadium is built in 2016. We're very excited about, first, the teams that we're playing this year. Of course, a lot of people have asked where the University of Faith is. It's an NAIA school down in Florida. This is on their second year of existence playing football, and Coach Henry did a good job of getting those guys, and Ms. Thomas is drafting up a contract to get those guys on the schedule. Two things to note about the schedule, well, a couple of things. One, that we have a lot of local games, close games here near our great university. So there's no excuse as to why we can't travel in droves to every ball game. First game right down the road in Houston is a huge game for us. We all know that the first game sets the tone for our season, and more so than that, it's a conference game. But even more so than that, it's our in-state rival. And so we definitely want to make sure that as we travel down to Houston, that we have the home field advantage because we have more people in their stadium than they do. And I think that's something very important for that first game, to get our season started off on the right track. As we go to Texas State, they're our quote-unquote money game, guarantee game. Again, that's a team that we played here in the past, and one of my missions when I got here, talking to Mr. Robinson, was that we were going to not only just go play those teams to help our athletics program, but we're going to beat them. And we're not just going to play a game and collect a check. We're going to bring home a victory from Texas State. Then those are 3 out of conference games. I'm sorry, 2 out of conference games with Texas State and University of Faith. And a couple of teams have been bold enough to pick us as homecoming. Southern University have made us their homecoming game, and then one near and dear to me, Alcorn State has made us their homecoming game. So I'm sure Coach Street and I will definitely have a lot of energy and enthusiasm that week. But we're definitely excited about the schedule. And then, again, the conference championship is something that we're all striving to get to. So, again, definitely encourage you guys to get your season tickets so that, again, we can represent Prairie View in the light that we know we all can. To talk a little bit about our signing class, first of all, I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize some people who played an integral part in that. First, again, being Miss Carroll, this last week or 2 weeks has been a whirlwind for us, trying to get as good a group of guys together as possible to try to get them on campus to the Hill. I think that's something that we all know we must do, and encourage the local high school student athletes in the Houston area to get on campus. We have a beautiful campus, we have beautiful facilities, and people need to see that. I think that's something that as we went out and recruited, that was the first thing we noticed, that a lot of people haven't been here in a long time. There are a ton of schools right there in the Cypress area, there are a ton of schools in Katy, and then of course there are a million schools down in Houston in that area. So for us not to be able to attract local talent, to me, it's no excuse. So we're definitely going to do our best job to make sure that we put our stamp around Houston, also around the Dallas Metroplex, and I think we did a good job of that in a short time of bringing some quality student athletes from those areas. Again, along with Ms. Carroll, some guys that we'll recognize here today, and you get your first chance to meet most of them through certain procedures. I can't technically introduce them as coaches, so again, right now they're our consultants, and hopefully we'll be bringing them on board full-time to help the program. First one is a guy that's been integral with our recruiting. He served as our consultant as our recruiting coordinator, so all of our official visit weekends, getting the hotels lined up, getting the festivities together for everything that we've done. Mr. Joe Nixon. Another person who's been very helpful too, who's kind of his right-hand man, one who's kind of responsible for putting this great video together and doing a lot of our operational stuff, Mr. Joseph Henry. another person who was the last one addition to us and who's been the last weekend really great, has a great reputation in the profession. A lot of people recognize him. He's a Texas, Texas, grew up in Texas, Mr. Willie Mack Garza. Of course, kind of been my right-hand man for the last 3 years down there at Alcorn, was responsible for putting together one of the best defenses in the country, coaching the All-American defensive lineman, another guy who will probably play in the NFL this next season. And it's been like a brother to me. And of course, I tell the recruits, the only people that are probably closer, that have gotten closer over the last 3 years are our wives. And that's Coach Ralph Street. Also coming to us from Henderson State, the person who brings a lot of energy and enthusiasm to us, someone who's played football close by and coached close by, is someone who we really respect, Mr. Brandon Sharp. I think the last one that you don't know is my big little brother. When you see him stand up, you know what I mean. I'm older, but again, growing up in Quincy, a lot of you saw my high school accolades. He was directly responsible for most of it because he was my blind side. He was my left tackle in high school. Grew up and we've been brothers for over 25 years. Mr. Alex Jackson. And of course, already here, needs no introduction, but again, just continues to just impress me every day by the way he carries himself in a first-class manner, by the way the people around campus light up when he comes around, by the way he just is a great people person and someone who's just an integral part of this staff and what we're trying to do here. And I'm very privileged to have him stay on with me in my transition, and that's Coach Bubba McDowell. And then of course, Coach Nunley is with us. He's our defensive graduate assistant. Again, is a guy that brought us a few of the California junior college guys we have here. Identify some prospects, and then he'll be coming in a little bit late today. He had a lot of things to do around campus, helping one of our current student athletes who just got enrolled, getting him situated. Of course, everyone knows him, needs no introduction, Coach KJ Black. So again, just to kind of go over some of these guys, what we'll do once I get done, we'll just kind of roll the highlights. So as we mingle and eat, that we all can just look at the highlights and kind of see who we're bringing into the Panther family. One thing we wanted to do, of course, we know we had some needs that we had to identify. And so one of the first needs when I got here as a coach, looking at the team currently and just playing against us in the past, the first thing I noticed was that we needed to get bigger on the defensive side of the ball, especially up front. And so as you can see, we signed 4 defensive tackles, which is huge for us as far as solidifying our defense. Of course, defense wins championships. With me, having been an offensive coordinator, I still understand the importance of having a great defense. And so to start there, just go over those guys. The first one, as you look at the list, is Willie Butler. Willie Butler is from League City, Texas, Clear Springs High School. Looking at Willie, he was one that we, near the end of the process, decided that this was a guy that we just couldn't go without. Willie's a little bit undersized, so he'll be similar to what we played with, but at 6'2", 265, Willie was the district player of the year. As you can see his stats from the defensive line position, anytime a defensive lineman can have 126 tackles, that's phenomenal. I mean, when you watch his film, you'll see here, he's relentless. I mean, he plays fullback, so you'll see him carry the football. He's a guy that just refuses to be blocked, and he's going to bring a tenacity to our defense that's going to really help us down the line. So again, he was a guy that near the end we offered a scholarship too late. Willie actually turned down some other scholarships to come here at the last minute. So that was really important to us. Of course, in fashion, Coach KJ Black walks in looking smooth. Another defensive tackle, Jordan Johnson. Jordan's from Garland, Texas, late U Centennial. One thing about Jordan, of course, we have some former athletes in here, and we have some people who've been recruited. Whenever you come on an official visit, one thing I think that's important is that the guys on the visit bond together. Because again, you're trying to promote that these will be your future teammates. And one thing we can say about Jordan, Jordan probably recruited harder than the coaches. I mean, he constantly was just in guys' ears, talking to guys about how great it is to be a Panther, about just the great things we have going on here. I mean, every time you look, he's on Twitter, he's on Facebook, he's on Instagram. Anything he could think of to talk about Prairie football, he did it. And so this is a guy that's, again, you see 6'5", 300 pounds, and probably would be 6'6" if you take the mop haircut he had on top of his head. But again, joins us a great young man, a man that we're very proud to have here. He's going to definitely represent the university in a first-class manner. Another guy, Stephen Scott from Pearland, Texas, played at Manville. We actually had the privilege to, before the SWAC championship game, to see Manville and Katy because they played the NRG right before we did. And so this was a guy that came up to campus multiple times. Came up on an unofficial visit for a junior day, he and his mom, and then turned around the next week and came back on campus for an official visit. So it shows you how committed he was to being a Panther. We feel very excited about Steven. You see 6'3", 295 pounds. Like I said, what you see is film, you'll see that he's a very strong guy, very tough guy at the point of attack, and someone who we think can solidify our defensive line. And then the last guy, Malachi Jean. Malachi's a guy that we were very familiar with. He grew up in Lake City, Florida, which is down I-10, a few hours from where Coach Jackson and I were raised. So I knew I was familiar with Malachi for a long time. And as you can look at the bio, he's every bit of that 330. And I think we've been a little bit generous by putting 330. It might be bigger than that. But Malachi's a guy that benches about 450 pounds, and he's a mammoth of a man. And you know, Malachi actually had an opportunity to go to Florida Atlantic and decided that he wanted to come here and be a part of this family, and that's something coming from Florida, a guy that turned down an opportunity to go to a FBS program in the state of Florida to come to Texas. It really means a lot to us, and actually had a nice write-up in the Gainesville Sun about he and some of his other teammates, but really promoted the university and did a great job there. So as you can see up front, you know, we definitely try to do a good job of increasing our size on the defensive line. The next position that we thought, of course, me being a former quarterback, and of course, knowing how important it is for the quarterback to control this offense, we found a guy we watched on film that we really fell in love with. I went to see him last week. Great family. Actually, mom and dad are both. They actually both went to Arkansas Pine Bluff, so they're familiar with the SWAC and have a lot of history with the SWAC. Daddy played football, mom ran track, and so again, he comes from an athletic background. But you see his size. He's 6'4". He's probably more 220. He's not 200 pounds. You see him. He's a big, good-looking young man. Baseball player, dual sport guy. Actually, the first time I met him, he was at the Bat Cave once I went to the school. But Jalen Morton is a guy that we're really excited about as a quarterback. Very athletic, really live arm, can do all the things in this offense that we're required to do. And as you look at his stature, he's very similar to like a Jerry Lovelock or even John Gibbs, guys. Big, tall, athletic quarterbacks that we've seen around this league and around the country. So we're very excited about Jalen. At the wide receiver spot, we need someone to throw the ball to. If you're going to sign a quarterback, get some weapons around them. And one guy, probably after looking at film of all these guys, the one guy who I was probably the most impressed with just by watching after a couple of clips is Keandre Heary. He's a 6'2" receiver from Denton. If you look at his film, he has probably the best ball skills that I've seen in quite some time. He plucks the ball out of the air against over defensive backs like the guys you see on Sundays. And Keandre was a guy who considered, you know, he's a full qualifier, but Keandre considered going to the Texas junior college system to try to get, you know, re-recruited to the bigger schools. But once he came to campus, and his high school coach actually had him convinced that was the best thing for him. Luckily for us, we had a guy that's on the staff that's actually played at Alcorn, who I know, who convinced Keandre, look, if you're going to go to the junior college, that's fine, but at least take a visit to Prairie. And by the time he left campus, there was no other place that he would be than Prairie. So he committed to us, and of course you still hold your breath on signing day, but his faxes were one of the first ones to come through the fax machine, and that really meant a lot to us. That again, once we get him on campus, we can sell him. And Keandre is a guy we're very excited about. A tight end, of course, we looked at our roster here and felt like we needed to get some more tight end type bodies, and so we found a guy down in Houston, right down the road at Madison High School, John Trey Elps. You know, John Trey is a very athletic young man, 6'3", 230, plays basketball. We really got sold on John Trey when we watched him play basketball. I mean, he is relentless on the basketball court. He lost the game close, and he was so upset after the game that he really didn't want to talk, but because he saw the coaches, he came over and talked to us, and that meant a lot. That just showed his passion for competition, and that's something that meant a lot to us. John Trey actually was committed to Grambling. And went down there the last week or 2 weeks ago, sat down in his home, talked to he and his mom. His mom is taking care of her mother who has Alzheimer's, and so she wasn't able to make it here on the visit, but John Trey came up and had a great time, and again, inked with us yesterday, and we're very excited about John Trey coming to the program. On the offensive line, we signed one guy, but this one signee, I think, will really help us in the future because we've kind of established ourselves in Katy. Just from being here in a short time, I've heard that we've had some, you know, not issues, but haven't been as successful in the Katy area as we need to be. And so for a guy like Derek Brown, who had offers, a ton of offers. When you look at Derek's 6'4", 320 pounds, lost the state championship game. Again, just a guy who, on film, when you see him, you probably, you know, we don't usually get guys like that very often. Like I said, Derek had a ton of offers, but my staff did a phenomenal job of really just endearing ourselves to him. And again, once he and his family got on campus, they were sold. And Derek actually committed to us on our visit, which is always something that's important when they leave the visit. You want to know how they feel and what they're thinking. And Derek pledged himself to us at the visit. So stuck with us those last 3 days. Of course, some people trying to call him and flip him and change his mind. But Derek stayed with us, and we definitely feel good that he's going to come in here and be a great guy on the offensive line for us here in the future. Defensively, aside from the defensive line, we signed a few defensive backs. We signed one defensive back. That's Secondry Biddens. Secondry's a guy who had offers from a lot of FBS schools as well. A lot of the MAC schools, Conference USA schools, all had offers Secondry. Secondry has a personal relationship with Coach Nixon, actually played at the same high school, and Secondry actually turned down those big offers to come to school here, and that means a lot to us for a guy from the state of Florida who had a lot of offers from some of those Florida schools to leave outside the state and come play. So Secondry's a guy that we're very excited about. As you can see, he's a return specialist, does a good job, plays wide receiver, plays defensive backs. So right now, we're penciling him in as a corner, but you know, Secondry's the type of athlete that I wouldn't be surprised if after 2 days of camp, he's on offense, catching balls for us at wide receiver. So that's just a little tidbit to Coach Street that I might steal this defensive player. And then the last two guys that we signed, actually, their faxes came through today. So when we released, when we did our press release, we only had the 10 signees, but then those two guys came in today. The first one is Devin Dudley. Devin's another Houston guy, which we're very proud of and excited about, from Westside High School. As you can see, 6'4", 290, first team all-district guy. Again, a big offensive lineman who, again, turned down some junior college offers to come play ball for us here, and we're very excited about him. And then the last guy, Isaiah Thompson, is a 6'4", 200-pound outside linebacker. Not the biggest guy right now as far as his frame, but when you look at him, you see his broad, his broad shoulders and his big neck. You know that he's going to be a guy once he gets here and gave Mr. Lewis feeds him 3 square meals a day. And in no time, he's going to be about 235 pounds. So Mr. Lewis is going to definitely get you on his meal plan as soon as he steps on campus. But again, we're very excited about those high school guys coming in. We also have 4 guys who are on campus right now. They're not on this press release, but they're part of the signing class that we're very excited about. One is Reginald Jackson. He's a cornerback from Glendale, California. Actually originally from Mobile, Alabama. Signed with South Alabama out of high school. So he played a year at South Alabama, left there and went to Glendale. And we got him here. He's a defensive back that's going to really be a good player for us. Another is Marquise O'Leary. Marquise is from Citrus College in California. Marquise comes to us, again, another defensive back, a physical guy, hard hitter. I think those highlights are on here as well. Another one's a linebacker, Jalen Coleman. Jalen's from UAB. So Jalen came to us from the University of Alabama, Birmingham. As we all know, shut down their program. Jalen was actually committed to Howard. And then at the last minute, once we got the job and got here, he flipped at the last minute and decided to come be a Panther. We're very excited about him. And then the last guy who just got squared away today, so wasn't even sure if I'd be able to announce him, but he got cleared away, so now we're very excited. Shaquille Rowland. Shaq's, of course, from the University of South Carolina. Shaq was Mr. Football in the state of South Carolina. So, I don't know if Prairie has a storied history, but I'm not sure when the last time we've had a Mr. Football on our football team. Someone who played in the SEC and did very well in the SEC. So we're very excited about these guys. I mean, they're a welcome addition to the Panther family. Not only are they great players, but just meeting with them all, seeing their families, they're all quality young men. And I think that's something that was very important to us in recruiting these young guys, that we not only brought great football players here, but great ambassadors for Prairie View, because we understand these guys are going to represent our university on and off the field. And so it's important that academically they were sound and that they showed that they can do college work. As we know, Prairie View is a great institution, but it's not an easy institution to survive academically. So with the help of Ms. Carroll and Ms. Rice and the support staff here, Mr. Malone and all the people involved, we really feel like these young men will be successful here academically. That's important. So even more so than them being successful on the field, we have a plan in place to make sure that they're successful off the field and that they represent us in a first-class manner. So again, I get excited and I talk a lot, so without further ado, I'm gonna take a seat and we can enjoy the highlights and kind of mingle around, and I'm sure everybody's hungry, so we can probably start eating. So, but thank you guys, I really appreciate the turnout here. It means a lot. From all indications, this is a larger crowd than we had in the past. So hopefully this thing will continue to grow year in and year out. Before long, we'll have to move it out of here and get into a bigger venue. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you, Coach Simmons. This concludes the official speaking portion of the program, but as Coach said, feel free to get up and mingle. We're going to watch, have the video rolling that Coach Henry is very nicely put together for this upcoming class, and dinner is served. It's buffet style, so let's eat.